Leave your homeland and go to the land I will show you.
4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, a man in a place called Ur of the Chaldeans hears the voice of God. He is already 75 years old and is 10 years older than his wife. At that age, leaving his hometown must have been very difficult. However, Abraham packs everything up and sets off on a long journey, not knowing where he is going. This is a story from 4,000 years ago. This is the word from Genesis chapter 12. Abraham obeyed a command that seemed impossible to follow. Now, let's hear what the result was. Abraham, one of the most famous names in the Bible. However, we have only seen him as the hero of faith for too long. We placed him on a pedestal and only looked at him. But if you look a little closer, he was just like us. He was anxious as he got older. He was afraid of losing what he had. He was an ordinary person who wanted to stop when he couldn't see ahead. One day, he heard a voice. Leave your homeland. Leave your relatives. Leave your father's house. Go to the land that I will show you. Wait a moment. The land I will show you? Not right now. It means you will see it as you go. It's a road without navigation. A departure without a destination. A journey without a map. Everyone, do you know how frightening this statement is? Abraham was living in Ur of the Chaldeans at that time. Ur was one of the most advanced cities in the world. There was water, markets, homes, and neighbors. The relationships and foundation he built over 75 years were all there. But he was told to leave all of it behind. Abraham thought to himself, is this really the voice of God? Am I just hearing things because I'm getting old? What will people say? They'll probably say the old man has finally lost his mind. However, there is something we often miss here. If you look at Genesis chapter 12 carefully, this was not God's first calling. Acts chapter 7 reveals that God had already called Abraham once before, while he was still in Ur. This was a voice he had heard before, but Abraham did not fully obey at that time. He left with his father Terah, but they stopped in Haran instead of reaching Canaan. Because Haran was comfortable, it wasn't a bad place. He thought, maybe this is enough. And there, his father Terah died. Only then did the voice come again. This is the command in Genesis chapter 12. Perhaps you are also stopped in Haran right now. God clearly called you. But maybe you stopped because life became comfortable. Maybe you settled halfway instead of fully obeying. Abraham's second calling begins there. God gives another chance to someone who already failed once. And this time, Abraham went. The Bible records it simply. Abram went, as the Lord had spoken to him. No explanation. No long story of inner conflict. No dramatic speech overcoming fear. He just went. I think this is one of the most frightening verses in the Bible, because we always want reasons. We want proof. We want someone else to walk ahead first and confirm the road is safe. Only then do we move. But Abraham just went. When we see someone like that, we wonder, what kind of faith makes a person walk that road? It was a road with no turning back. If he failed, he could lose everything. That is the definition of faith. Faith is not knowing everything. Faith is moving even when you do not know. Going after safety is confirmed is not faith. That is simply planning. Abraham began his journey. When he arrived at Shechem, God appeared and said, to your descendants I will give this land. Abraham built an altar there. What is an altar? It is gratitude. It is a confession that God has brought me this far. It is a declaration that this land belongs not to me, but to God. But then the problem came. A famine struck the land. Think about that for a moment. After giving up everything, he arrived at a land with nothing to eat. Abraham must have wondered, did I hear wrong? Is this really the promised land? And he went down to Egypt. When hardship came, he tried to solve it himself. He left the place God had led him and searched for human solutions. There, he almost lost his wife. Out of fear, he lied and said Sarah was his sister. That lie created an even greater crisis. He started with faith, but stumbled because of fear. Aren't we the same? We pray and step out in faith. But when reality shakes us, we search for our own Egypt. We say we trust God, but when famine comes, we run toward human answers. Isn't that our story too? Yet even there, God was still working quietly. Even when Abraham failed, even when fear made him lie, even when he was humiliated in Pharaoh's house, God did not abandon him. Instead, God protected Abraham, and Abraham returned to Canaan with many possessions. This is the first comfort Abraham's story gives us. Failure is not the end. Falling once does not mean you are discarded. Abraham returned to Bethel, the place where he first built an altar, and there he called on the name of the Lord again. It was a return to the beginning, a return to the original calling, a return to the place where he first obeyed. That is restoration, not a dramatic miracle, not a glamorous testimony, just standing before the altar again. That alone was restoration. Then another problem arose. Conflict broke out between Abraham's herdsmen and Lot's herdsmen. As the older man, Abraham had the right to choose first. He could have taken the better land. That would have been natural. But Abraham said, "Let there be no strife between us. If you go left, I will go right. If you go right, I will go left." He let Lot choose first. Lot chose the fertile plain near Sodom. It looked rich and beautiful. What remained for Abraham was the barren land of Canaan. From a human perspective, Abraham lost. By worldly standards, it was foolish. But right after Lot left, God spoke again. "Lift up your eyes. All the land you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever." As long as Abraham held tightly to his rights, he could not see the greater promise. Only after letting go did he finally see what God had prepared. Was Abraham's obedience something grand? No. He simply took one step when God said go. He returned to Bethel after failing in Egypt. He let Lot choose first. That was all. No heroic performance, no self-made miracles. He simply obeyed. He failed and came back. He let go. And from that, God built a nation. Where are you right now? Are you stuck in Haran? Are you wandering in Egypt? Are you fighting to protect what is yours? Wherever you are, remember this. Abraham passed through those places too. And the place he always returned to was the altar. Please return to the beginning. Return to the place where you first knelt before God. You do not need perfect faith. You only need to return. Where is your Haran? Where is your Egypt? Where is the place where you are fighting? Leave those things behind. Trust God. Trust His goodness. Even if you suffer loss right now, believe that God is watching over you. That is the message Abraham's story gives us. There is fear and pain in obeying God, but that is the road we are called to walk, because that is faith.